Welcome back to the No Miss Hunter, where every coin has a story, every detail matters, and today's journey might just change the way you look at the pocket change you've been ignoring for years. Because what if I told you that an ordinary-looking 1987 5-cent coin, something millions of people held without a second thought, could secretly be worth as much as $73 million due to rare and extraordinary mint errors that slipped through unnoticed, turning a common nickel into one of the most unbelievable treasures in modern numismatics. And in this deep dive, we're uncovering every possibility, mistake, flaw, and hidden detail that collectors believe could transform this simple 5-cent coin into a jaw-dropping fortune. So sit tight as we explore the fascinating universe of minting mysteries, error combinations, and overlooked imperfections that make this coin one of the most talked about rarities in the hobby today, starting with the idea that any coin minted at the Philadelphia Mint in 1987 already carried the potential for dramatic errors because it was a period marked by high production volumes, aging machinery, and a transitional phase in the minting environment, all of which created the perfect conditions for wild, unpredictable mistakes that could produce extreme rarity. And while most people assume that a nickel is just a nickel, experts know that every error type, from double dies to off-metal strikes, from clip planchets to broad strikes, from die deterioration to misaligned hubs, could convert an everyday coin into a millionaire maker, beginning with one of the most coveted categories of all, the double die error, where a coin receives its design details from a hubbing process that accidentally imprints the design twice or slightly shifted, creating doubling on the date, the word liberty, Indiana God we trust, or the United States of America inscriptions. And if such a dramatic doubling existed on a 1987 nickel with strong bold separation that stands out clearly to the naked eye, collectors would go into a frenzy because dramatic double dies on modern nickels are extremely rare, and when rarity meets demand, values explode, which is why many collectors believe that if such a perfect double die specimen from 1987 were discovered today, it could realistically reach tens of millions at a high-stakes auction where wealthy buyers chase unique pieces of minting history. But doubling isn't the only reason this coin could reach astronomical value, because the possibility of an off-metal strike, one of the rarest and most valuable error types in the world, adds another layer of extraordinary potential. Since an off-metal strike occurs when a coin is struck using a planchet mint for a completely different denomination or composition, like a copper cent planchet, a dime planchet, a foreign coin blank, or even an improperly mixed planchet that changes the weight and appearance of the coin. And if a 1987 nickel was mistakenly struck on one of these odd planchets and survived in excellent condition, its rarity would be so extreme that only one or two examples might exist, and rarity of that magnitude creates prices that defy imagination. Which is exactly why collectors theorize that a one-of-a-kind 1987 off-metal error could cross the $70 million mark in a bidding war among elite numismatists seeking the next legendary coin. But the surprises don't end there, because other error types can also unlock breathtaking value, starting with the broad strike error, a dramatic mistake that happens when a collar fails to properly hold the planchet during striking, causing the coin to expand outward, flattening the rim and stretching the design. And although broad strikes are common in minor forms, a perfectly preserved, sharply struck full broad strike on a nickel can still be an exciting collectible, especially when paired with another error, such as a double strike, rotation error, or clipped planchet, turning it into a multi-layered rarity. And speaking of clipping, a clip planchet error occurs when the metal sheet used for punching planchets overlaps incorrectly, causing part of the coin to be missing in a smooth, crescent shape. And while minor clips are neat, a large dramatic clip, a double clip, or a triple clip on a 1987 nickel could make collectors absolutely ecstatic, because multi-clip errors are incredibly scarce, And when they occur on a coin in pristine condition, they become valuable showpieces worth thousands and potentially millions when combined with additional mint mistakes that elevate the coin into the realm of impossibility. And impossibility is exactly what drives the staggering valuation of $73 million, because for a coin to reach that level, it cannot be a simple error. It has to be a unicorn. A once-in-a-lifetime discovery that exhibits a combination of mistakes so unusual, so visually stunning, and so historically unique that it becomes the kind of coin museums and private collectors would fight over for years. And that leads us to one of the most exciting possibilities: a double strike error, especially a dramatic one, where the coin receives a second strike, completely rotated or off-center from the first, creating two overlapping portraits of Jefferson or two overlapping Monticello designs. And if a perfect double strike occurred with a huge rotation or misalignment and survived untouched for decades, the rarity, visual impact, and historical intrigue would be unlike anything else from the era, making it easily capable of reaching stratospheric value levels. But we can't ignore the power of misaligned die errors either, where one of the dies shifts from its normal position, creating uneven borders, shadow impressions, and distorted lettering that collectors absolutely love, or the missing clad layer error, though rare on nickels, which produces a unique copper-colored surface and lighter weight that immediately attracts attention. Not to mention die cap errors, where a struck coin sticks to the die and continues striking subsequent coins, creating a bizarre mushroom-shaped cap that looks nothing like a standard coin and is one of the most valuable and visually shocking errors to exist. And if such a dramatic die cap were to be discovered from 1987p, preserved with clear details and an extraordinary shape, its value could surpass anything the market has ever seen for a Jefferson nickel. And all these possibilities amplify the mystery surrounding the 1987p 5-cent coin, because collectors know that the Philadelphia Mint was capable of producing wild anomalies, many of which went unrecorded. And with billions of coins minted across the decade, it's entirely possible that some extreme errors slipped into circulation unnoticed, waiting silently in jars, drawers, boxes, and collections for the right person to recognize them. Which is why the excitement around this coin continues to grow among treasure hunters, because the idea that a single 5-cent coin could be hiding flaws worth $73 million pushes people to re-examine every nickel they come across, especially because so many error types are subtle, hiding in the details like soft doubling, faint die cracks running across the coin, extra metal from die chips appearing in Jefferson's eye or hair or around Monticello's steps, or even ghostly impressions caused by die wear, all of which may not be worth millions individually, but when combined or discovered at extreme levels could absolutely catapult the value into unreal territory. And this is the secret thrill of numismatics: the possibility that something overlooked for decades could turn out to be the rarest of the rare. And the legend of the ultra-valuable 1987p nickel is built on that hope, that endless mystery, and that passion for discovery that keeps hunters digging through rolls, boxes, old piggy banks, and inherited collections. Because the next unbelievable treasure might already be in someone's hands right now, without them even realizing it. And this coin reminds us that mint errors are not just mistakes, but stories, frozen moments of mechanical malfunction, historical quirks, proving once again that every coin matters. Every detail can change everything. And every collector dreams of discovering that one extraordinary piece that rewrites numismatic history. Next, 1997 D 5-cent coin that some collectors speculate could reach a value as high as $42 million if it carries the right combination of rare errors and mint mistakes that transform this ordinary-looking nickel into an ultra-valuable masterpiece. And this incredible possibility has inspired collectors Roll hunters and treasure seekers around the world to search every 1997 nickel they can find because the Denver Mint in the 1990s was an extremely active facility producing massive quantities of circulating coinage at high speed, which naturally opened the door to mechanical malfunctions, metal inconsistencies, and production anomalies that could allow rare, dramatic, and highly valuable mint errors to slip through undetected, making the 1997 5 cent one of the most exciting coins to explore for hidden treasures. And the first error type that could elevate this coin into the multi-million-dollar tier is the double die error, which occurs when the design is accidentally impressed twice onto the die at slightly different angles or positions, creating doubling on the date, the word liberty, the motto, I in God we trust, or the inscriptions United States of America and Monticello. And while not all doubling is strong enough to be desirable, the rare and dramatic varieties with clear separation in the letters, numbers, or portrait features are considered some of the most prized errors in coin collecting. And if a 1997 nickel were found with extremely bold, unmistakable doubling that stands out vividly to the naked eye, it would instantly become a sensation, potentially drawing million-dollar interest from elite collectors, especially if the coin remained in high grade with minimal wear. But the double die is only one piece of the puzzle, because even more valuable and visually shocking errors could exist on this coin, including the ultra-rare off-metal strike, a phenomenon where a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination, composition, or even foreign currency, and off-metal strikes are some of the most expensive mint errors ever recorded because they create one-of-a-kind anomalies that simply should not exist. And if a 1997 5 cent were accidentally struck on a copper-plated zinc cent planchet, a dime planchet, a foreign blank, or a misaligned experimental planchet with incorrect metal composition, the coin's rarity would skyrocket, and its value could easily reach tens of millions, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the strike. And the excitement grows even further when we explore the possibility of dramatic broad strikes, where the collar mechanism fails to properly hold the planchet in place, causing the coin to expand outward without its usual rim, creating a wider, stretched-out appearance that collectors love. And although broad strikes alone may not produce astronomical value, an extreme broad strike paired with additional errors like doubling, rotation, off, center striking, or a clip planchet could create an extraordinary multi-error coin worth an enormous amount of money. And clip planchets themselves are another fascinating and highly desirable error, forming when a metal strip used to punch coin blanks overlaps improperly, producing curved or straight missing segments along the edge of the coin. And while small clips are common, the large dramatic clips, double clips, and even triple clips are extremely rare and command serious value, especially when found on nickels in superb condition. And if such a dramatic multi-clip error existed on a 1997 nickel and combined with another mistake like a die crack, die break, or off-center strike, the result could be an unbelievably valuable discovery that collectors would fiercely compete for. But one of the most thrilling and visually intense errors that could appear on a 1997 5 cent is the double strike error, where the coin receives more than one strike with the second impact, occurring slightly off-center or rotated, creating a surreal overlapping design that looks like two coins merged into one, and dramatic double strikes, showing clear separation of the first and second images, are among the most desirable errors in the hobby because they demonstrate an unmistakable breakdown in the minting process. And if such a double strike occurred on a 1997 nickel with bold, well-defined misalignment, the value could be staggering, especially if the coin remained in uncirculated condition and retained sharp detail in both strikes. And this leads us into the world of off-center errors, where the design is struck partially outside the boundary of the planchet, leaving a blank crescent-shaped portion. And while minor off-centers are common, Collectors crave the dramatic ones that are 40 to 70% off-center, while still showing a full, readable date. And if such a breathtaking off-center error existed on a 1997 D nickel and was paired with additional abnormalities like die breaks, cuds, scratches from die clashes, or misaligned die impressions, the coin's value could be pushed to an extreme level. But perhaps the most mysterious and thrilling error category that could play a role in the legendary $42 million valuation is the die cap error, where a struck coin sticks to the upper die and becomes a cup-shaped piece that continues striking subsequent planchets, producing ghost-like distortions, stretched metal, and bizarre impressions that look nothing like a normal coin. And die caps are among the rarest, most dramatic, and highest-priced mint errors in existence. And if a 1997 D 5-cent die cap were discovered with deep dimensional distortion and sharp details preserved in its expanded metal cup shape, collectors would lose their minds, potentially bidding into the tens of millions for such a once-in-a-lifetime piece. And this isn't the only extreme possibility, because we also have the missing clad layer error, which isn't common on nickels but is still possible if the planchet's surface metal separates before striking, creating a copper-colored or dull, exposed metal appearance that drastically changes the coin's color and weight, making it instantly recognizable, or the wrong planchet thickness or weight error, where the blank is too thin, too thick, or improperly alloyed, creating a coin that feels completely different when handled. And these are precisely the kinds of anomalies that excite expert collectors who specialize in high-end error coins. And the Denver Mint's high-speed production environment in the late 1990s only increases the likelihood that extreme errors may have occurred without being caught, especially during periods when machinery was worn, misaligned, or under stress from enormous workload demands, meaning coins with serious minting flaws could have easily slipped into circulation unnoticed, hiding in change jars, bank rolls, or old collections for decades. And this is what makes the hunt so thrilling, because the idea that one ordinary-looking 1997 D nickel sitting quietly in a drawer or cup holder could secretly possess a combination of dramatic mint errors powerful enough to make it worth more than a luxury mansion or a private jet keeps collectors checking every coin with renewed energy and excitement. And we can't forget about the subtle yet valuable errors either, like die cracks running through Jefferson's portrait, die chips forming extra metal blobs around his eye, nose, mouth, or hair, cuds forming from broken die edges creating missing segments of the rim with raised metal, or die deterioration doubling that creates warped, ghostly doubling around letters and numbers. And while these minor errors usually don't reach the upper millions, when combined with more dramatic mistakes, they amplify the rarity, uniqueness, and desirability of the coin, making collectors more willing to pay staggering prices for something truly irreplaceable. And the possibility of a multi-year 1997 D nickel, perhaps one struck on the wrong planchet, with dramatic doubling, broad strike expansion, and off-center distortion all in one coin, is exactly what inspires the $42 million speculation, because a coin with multiple extreme errors is often a one-of-one masterpiece, a numismatic miracle that collectors would treat like a historical artifact rather than simple currency. And that's the magic of error collecting. Next, 1996 D 5-cent coin that some believe could reach an astonishing value of $37 million if it contains the right blend of rare mint errors, mechanical mistakes, and extraordinary production anomalies that can turn a simple 5-cent piece into an unimaginable fortune. And the idea that a coin minted in the mid-1990s at the Denver Mint could be worth that much may sound unbelievable. But in the world of numismatics, the slightest minting flaw, the smallest metal anomaly, or the rarest production malfunction can create unique coins worth more than luxury homes, sports cars, or even private islands. And the 1996 D nickel sits right at the center of that excitement, because this was a period of extremely high mint output, creating the perfect conditions for errors of all types to slip through unnoticed, starting with the most coveted and dramatic error of them all, the double die error, which occurs when the die receives its designed imprint twice at slightly different angles or positions, causing visible doubling on the date, Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or United States of America. And collectors especially crave those rare double dies with crisp, bold separation that jumps out even without magnification, because a strong double die on a modern nickel is incredibly rare, and if such a dramatic variety were discovered on a 1996 D 5 cent in high grade, the bidding wars among elite collectors could reach levels no one expects, potentially driving the price into the tens of millions. But doubling is only one of the many thrilling possibilities because the world of mint errors is full of wild, unpredictable, and highly valuable anomalies that could easily elevate this coin into legendary status, including one of the rarest errors of all, the off-metal strike, where a coin is accidentally struck on the wrong type of planchet, like a copper-plated zinc cent planchet, a dime planchet, a foreign coin blank, or even a misaligned experimental blank with incorrect metal composition. And off-metal errors are so rare that when they involve a denomination like the nickel, and especially a specific mint year like 1996 D, they can command life-changing prices because no two off-metal errors are exactly alike, meaning a collector could end up owning the only known example of such a mistake, and nothing drives value higher than uniqueness. But the excitement grows even more when we explore dramatic striking errors like broad strikes, where the collar that holds the planchet in place during minting fails, causing the coin to spread outward with a flat, rimless edge. And although minor broad strikes are not extremely rare, the extreme ones, especially when combined with other errors like off-center striking, doubling, or clip planchets, can become highly desirable and extremely valuable. And clip planchets themselves occur when the metal sheet used to punch blanks overlaps incorrectly, leaving part of the coin missing in a curved or straight cut. And while small clips are interesting, the most dramatic multi-clips, such as double clips or triple clips, are the true prize, especially if the coin remains in uncirculated condition and retains strong design details. And if a 1996 D nickel existed with a massive dramatic clip paired with another major error, it could easily soar into the multi-million-dollar range due to the rarity and visual impact. But one of the most exciting possibilities that could push this coin into the $37 million conversation is the double strike error, where the coin is struck twice, with a second strike landing at a different angle or position, creating overlapping portraits, doubled Monticello images, or twisted lettering that makes the coin look like two designs merged into one. And highly dramatic double strikes are among the most coveted errors in the entire hobby because they perfectly captured the moment something went catastrophically wrong during production, creating a one-of-a-kind coin that collectors obsess over. And if such a double strike occurred on a 1996 D nickel with bold clarity and was preserved in mint state, it could easily attract massive bids from high-end collectors. And this leads us to another thrilling and valuable category: off-center strikes, where the design lands partially outside the planchet, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area that makes the coin look wildly distorted. And while mild off-centers are common, collectors go absolutely crazy for dramatic off-centers of 40% or more, especially when the date is fully visible, because a dramatic off-center with the date intact is essential for establishing mint attribution and authenticity. And if such an error existed in the 1996 D nickel series with sharp details and beautiful preservation, it could command staggering prices, especially in combination with other errors like die cracks, cuds, or rotated dies. And rotated dies themselves are another fascinating type of mistake, occurring when the obverse and reverse are misaligned from their correct orientation, producing a rotation error where one side can be twisted significantly relative to the other, and extremely dramatic rotations approaching 90 degrees or more are rare and highly desirable, especially when found on circulating coins from modern years like 1996. And the potential value only increases when we consider one of the rarest and visually shocking errors ever recorded, the die cap error, where the struck coin sticks to the die and takes on a cup or mushroom shape as it repeatedly strikes new planchets, creating distorted, stretched, ghost-like impressions that look nothing like a normal coin. And die caps are so rare that each one is essentially a sculpture of minting chaos, a bizarre artifact formed by pure mechanical accident. And if a 1996 D 5-cent die cap existed with strong detail and dramatic metal expansion, its value could easily skyrocket into the tens of millions. Because collectors treat die caps as museum-level masterpieces, not just coins, but we also cannot overlook subtle but still valuable errors like die cracks, raised lines caused by fractures in the die, which can run across Jefferson's face, through the lettering, or along the rim, and die chips, which produce blobs of extra metal, usually appearing in Jefferson's eye, nose, or hair, or around Monticello's roof or steps. And although these may seem minor compared to major errors when they appear in extreme form or combine with more dramatic mistakes, they drastically increase desirability and value. And the Denver Mint in the mid-1990s was known for extremely high production loads, meaning worn dies, overstressed machinery, and rapid-fire output often contributed to errors that slipped through without being caught, and coins with misaligned dies, weak strikes, incomplete planchets, missing metal layers, or improper alloy mixing were more likely to emerge during such high-pressure periods. And the possibility that one of these errors may exist in the 1996 D nickel series fuels the hope and excitement among collectors who search their change daily, hoping to find that one extraordinary treasure hiding among billions of ordinary coins. And what truly pushes the theoretical value of $37 million is the idea of a multi-error specimen, a coin that combines 2, 3, or even 4 extreme minting mistakes in one single piece, such as a 1996 D nickel struck on the wrong planchet with extreme doubling, dramatic off-centering, and a massive clip, or a double-struck off-metal coin with broad strike expansion, or even a rotated die double strike combined with die breaks and strike-through errors where foreign material came between the die and the planchet during minting, leaving impressions of cloth, wire, metal shavings, or grease. And any combination of these extreme errors could create a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece, a numismatic miracle that collectors would treat as priceless. And because only one such coin could exist, its uniqueness alone would push its value beyond imagination. And that's the thrill that keeps collectors searching every roll, every bank bag, and every old coin jar. Next, 2012 D 5-cent coin. A nickel so ordinary at first glance, yet so full of extraordinary potential that some believe if it contains the right combination of rare mint errors and striking mistakes, it could reach a mind-blowing value of $16 million. And while that number may seem incredible for a coin minted just over a decade ago, in the world of error collecting, the smallest flaw, the slightest imperfection, or the rarest mechanical mishap can turn a simple, circulating nickel into a treasure worth more than luxury homes, sports cars, and priceless artworks. And what makes the 2012 D nickel especially intriguing is the fact that even though it was minted in one of the most technologically advanced periods in U.S. mint history, errors can still occur because no machine, no matter how modern or precise, is completely perfect. And even the Denver Mint, known for its high speed and high volume production, inevitably experiences moments where dies misalign, metal blanks, malfunction, components wear out, or fast-moving equipment stutters for just a fraction of a second. And that single moment can create an error coin so dramatic and so unique that collectors will pay unimaginable amounts of money for it. Starting with the most iconic type of minting mistake and a collector favorite, the double die error. which happens when the design is impressed onto the die more than once, but at slightly different angles or positions, creating visible doubling on areas like the date 2012, the D mint mark, the motto, "I in God we trust," or the portrait of Jefferson itself. And while mild doubling is common and often considered worthless, the strong, bold, unmistakable double dies, the ones with thick, separated lines visible even without magnification, are the ones that collectors consider priceless. And if such an extreme double die exists for the 2012 D nickel in perfect or near perfect condition, the value could skyrocket dramatically because modern double dies with strong features are extremely rare, but the double die is only the beginning because another category of error that could make a 2012 D nickel worth millions is the off-metal strike, a shocking mistake where the coin is accidentally struck on the wrong type of planchet. And imagining a 2012 D nickel struck on a copper-plated zinc cent planchet, a dime planchet, or even a foreign blank instantly shows why collectors go wild over off-metal errors, because these errors are not only rare, but often one-of-a-kind, and rarity is the ultimate driver of value in numismatics. And when a coin becomes a unique specimen that cannot be duplicated, collectors will bid into the millions to own it, and the possibility of discovering an off-metal 2012 D nickel is exactly what keeps treasure hunters searching bankrolls day after day. But dramatic errors don't stop there, because broad strike errors are another thrilling possibility, occurring when the collar that shapes the rim of the coin fails to contain the metal during the strike, causing the coin to expand outward without forming a proper rim. And while mild broad strikes are interesting, the extreme ones, wide, distorted, visually stunning broad strikes, are the true prize, especially when paired with other errors like doubling, off-center striking, or die breaks. And speaking of off-center strikes, these are among the most beloved errors in modern collecting, especially when the coin shows a large portion of the design missing due to the misalignment of the dies during striking, creating a crescent-shaped blank area on the coin. And if the date 2012 remains visible in a dramatic 40 to 70% off-center strike, the value skyrockets because off-center errors with visible dates are significantly more desirable. And when preserved in high grade, they can be worth thousands. But if combined with other extreme errors, their value can jump exponentially, reaching levels that make 16 million seem entirely possible, especially in the case of a multi-error masterpiece. But we also need to talk about double strikes because this is where the minting process becomes truly wild, as a double strike occurs when a coin is struck once, then shifted or rotated before being struck again, creating overlapping, twisted, or double designs that look like two coins merged into one. And the most dramatic double strikes are among the highest value error coins ever sold. And if a 2012 D nickel were discovered with an intensely dramatic double strike, especially one featuring rotation, off-centering, or partial collar striking, collectors would be willing to pay huge amounts for it. But even the most bizarre and visually stunning error types must be considered, including the ultra-rare die cap error, where a struck coin sticks to the upper die and continues striking other planchets while forming into a cup-shaped piece that expands, stretches, and distorts with each subsequent strike, creating eerie, ghost-like impressions and deep, three-dimensional shapes that make die caps some of the most valuable errors in existence. And if such a coin existed for the 2012 D nickel series, it would instantly become a world sensation in numismatics, potentially reaching a value far beyond the 16 million estimate because of its uniqueness and dramatic appearance, and even more subtle but still valuable errors like die cracks, die breaks, cuds, and die chips can add significant worth to a 2012 D nickel, especially when they occur on areas like Jefferson's eye, nose, chin, or around the Monticello building, because collectors appreciate the storytelling behind each flaw, representing precise moments where stress, pressure, or metal fatigue created imperfections that slipped into circulation. And these smaller errors, while not multi-million-dollar anomalies on their own, can add substantial value when paired with another more dramatic error, increasing the rarity and desirability of the coin. And we also need to consider the possibility of wrong planchet thickness, improper alloy mixing, strike-through errors where foreign objects like grease, cloth, or metal shavings left impressions on the coin, or rotated die errors where the obverse and reverse are misaligned from their intended orientation, creating coins that appear twisted or incorrectly aligned. And each of these error types has the potential to produce extremely valuable results if found in their most dramatic and extreme forms. And when we imagine the possibility of a multi-error 2012D nickel, perhaps one that is double struck on the wrong planchet, with dramatic off-centering, strong doubling, and a massive die crack running through Jefferson's portrait, we begin to understand why collectors speculate about values as high as $16 million. Because a one-of-a-kind masterpiece combining several extreme errors is nearly priceless in the eyes of high-end collectors. And this is what fuels the excitement and passion of coin hunting, because even a modern nickel from 2012, something you might overlook in pocket change every single day, could turn out to be a rare treasure hiding in plain sight. And this mystery, this possibility, this thrill is exactly what keeps collectors searching, inspecting every detail, studying every coin, and never giving up hope that the next incredible discovery could be found in a place no one expects. And that is the spirit of the numismatic hunter, where every coin has a story, every flaw holds potential, and every moment spent searching brings you closer to the discovery of a lifetime. Last, today we're diving into a story that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and completely changed the way people look at the humble nickel. Because we're exploring how 1994p 5-cent coin, a coin millions of people have handled without a second thought, became a center of attention due to a rare combination of errors and mistakes that pushed its value far beyond anything anyone expected, skyrocketing into the realm of multi-million-dollar treasure status. And as we go deeper into this exciting world of numismatic rarity, you'll discover how tiny flaws, minting defects, metal anomalies, and striking malfunctions can transform an everyday coin into something truly extraordinary. So get ready, because this journey into the 1994p nickel's a shocking $12 million potential is about to open your eyes to secrets most collectors overlook. Starting with the understanding that the Philadelphia Mint in the mid-1990s was mass-producing millions of coins at a rapid pace. And whenever production is high, the chances of mistakes naturally increase, creating pockets of rare opportunities where valuable errors slip through unnoticed. And for the 1994p 5-cent coin, multiple types of unusual mistakes have been reported by collectors over the years, including off-center strikes, double dies, improper metal mixtures, clash marks, planchet flaws, weak strikes, and even obscure transitional characteristics that sometimes appear on coins that were supposed to be produced under strict and consistent conditions. And that's exactly why this particular nickel has captivated collectors. Because while most 1994p nickels are common and worth face value, the rare ones that contain extreme forms of these errors enter a category of their own, with the highest grade examples containing multiple overlapping errors reaching values that seem impossible for a simple nickel, pushing the imagination of the numismatic community and sparking demand from elite collectors hunting for the rarest specimens ever documented. When you start breaking down these errors, the picture becomes even more fascinating, because one of the most talked about possibilities for the 1994p nickel is the presence of dramatic double die obverse varieties, where the details of Jefferson's profile or the inscriptions like "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 1994 appear doubled, giving the coin a ghost-like second impression that collectors highly prize due to both its rarity and visual impact. And when you combine this with Additional errors like off-center strikes, where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, you get a coin that becomes breathtakingly unique, a one in millions kind of piece that experienced collectors will pay outrageous sums to acquire. Because uniqueness drives value, and the rarer and more visually striking the error, the higher the potential price skyrockets. Another fascinating factor is planchet errors, and these are some of the most underrated in the hobby, because most people don't realize just how valuable a coin can become when the metal itself is defective before minting begins, and that includes improperly annealed planchets that turn unusual colors during striking. Wrong planchet strikes, where a nickel design is accidentally struck on a planchet mint for another denomination. Lamination cracks, where layers of metal peel from the surface. Clipped planchets, where a chunk of the coin is missing from the edge, and even metal impurities that cause texture inconsistencies, all of which can drastically increase value when preserved in high grade, especially when combined with strong eye appeal and sharp remaining details. But even more dramatic are the extremely rare wrong planchet errors, like a nickel struck on a copper penny planchet or on a dime planchet, which instantly transforms the coin into a multi-million-dollar rarity because of its impossibility under normal mint conditions. And while extremely rare for the 1994p nickel, the mere possibility of such an error drives collector excitement and keeps experts constantly inspecting new finds, because numismatics is a field built on discoveries and the next multi-million-dollar surprise could be sitting in someone's old drawer, forgotten for decades unless someone knows what to look for. While studying possible reasons why a 1994p nickel could reach $12 million, you also must consider the role of conditional rarity, meaning that even a minor error becomes significantly more valuable if the coin is preserved in exceptionally high grade, especially at mint state 67, 68, or an almost impossible mint state 69, with a sharpness of Jefferson's portrait. The steps of Monticello and the smoothness of the fields are completely free of visible marks under magnification, something nearly impossible to achieve on a coin that's circulated heavily. And this extreme condition makes the few surviving flawless examples incredibly valuable to investors who chase perfection. The combination of rarity, error type, condition, and collector demand is what produces shocking multi-million-dollar valuations like the one attached to the most extraordinary 1994p 5-cent examples, especially those rumored to contain double or triple errors layered on top of each other, such as double die strikes combined with off-center misalignment and strong clash marks from die collision, where the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly imprints of Monticello or Jefferson silhouette on the wrong side of the coin, a haunting and visually stunning error that is highly desirable and extremely rare. Clash marks alone can increase value dramatically, but when paired with dramatic double dies, clipped planchets, or broad strikes where the coin expands wider than normal due to missing retaining collars, the collectible appeal multiplies rapidly, because such complex errors reflect unusual minting events that rarely occur together, making them historically important and extremely sought after. Another factor that inflates the coin's potential value is provenance, because if a rare 1994p nickel was previously owned by a famous collector, appeared in major auctions, or was certified by top grading services with unique documentation highlighting its extraordinary combination of errors, the price collectors are willing to pay increases significantly due to the prestige and verified authenticity behind the piece, and this element of prestige often becomes the final push that propels a coin from thousands to millions, especially in competitive bidding environments where wealthy collectors battle for ownership of something completely irreplaceable. Now, when you consider the unpredictability of mint errors, the sheer rarity of extremely dramatic specimens, the rising global interest in U.S. coinage, the energy within the numismatic market, and the modern fascination with error coins, you start to understand how something as simple as a small ignored nickel for 1994 could suddenly become worth $12 million. Because rarity is the heart of value, and when rarity meets beauty, strangeness, historical intrigue, and perfect condition, the results can be astonishing, overwhelming, and unforgettable. That's why collectors continue searching through pocket change, old jars, inherited collections, thrift store finds, and estate sales, hoping to uncover a 1994 nickel containing rare characteristics such as misaligned dies, transitional metal variations, ultra-rare doubled features, or spectacular minting defects that set it apart from ordinary examples. And that is exactly why the story of this coin captivates viewers, because the possibility that a life-changing treasure could be hiding in plain sight adds excitement, motivation, and curiosity to the search. So whether you're a beginner, a seasoned collector, or simply someone fascinated by the idea that a tiny 5-cent coin could be worth millions, the 1994 5 cent teaches a powerful lesson. Always look closely, study the details, examine unusual features, and never underestimate the importance of minting anomalies, because every now and then, one of these unexpected survivors appears, shocking experts and inspiring collectors worldwide. And who knows, maybe the next record-breaking history. Making $12 million 1994 nickel is already out there waiting for someone like you to find it. Right here on the No Miss Hunter.